Hey, Lori here from the Goodbye Good Girl Project. And on this day of independence here in the United States, I want to question some things because we had to question a lot of things in order to go and become independent. Anytime a group of people, a country needs to rewrite the rules, you have to question first. You have to ask other people to see things differently, or you have to demand that other people see things differently. Where it kind of goes into, no, not kind of, where it goes into the scary place is when we feel that we have no option but to fight. And sometimes that's just the way it is. Think of the French Revolution. Um, think of what's happening in this country with Black Lives Matter. There's a lot that happens with the either the sense or the truth. I leave it to you to decide on a case-by-case basis, as I think we have to individually, as to whether it is violence with a purpose because there is no other way, or it is because there's just something that's happened. It's time for this group, it's time for this country, it's time for this ideology to come through. Think of when same-sex marriage became legal. That wasn't done with a whole lot of violence, but it was a whole lot of we're here and we're not going away, right? So that was that. The message was, we deserve this and we're not going away and we're going to get this and this is going to happen. It takes a lot to change and it takes a lot to get independence. I'm currently working on independence for myself in the financial way. I would like to have a great deal of money to put into my business. I would like to have more impact, more input into the future of what's happening with our species. Now, I'm not a political person in the respect that I couldn't become a politician. It would not work. It wouldn't be good for me. It wouldn't be good for the people I was trying to rule or respond to or take care of. It makes my head explode. So instead, I'm all about transformation. And when I think about words, I want to know what they mean, because if I know what they mean for me and I know what they mean factually, then I'm cooking with gas. So in other words, let's see, when I work with the word nice versus the word kind, and I've mentioned this in one of the interviews that I did in my Outrageous, Courageous Confidence Summit, when I talk about being a nice person, a good girl, a nice girl, I have to hold myself back. I don't like that. That means that if somebody's hitting me, I have to be like, oh, I don't want to hurt their feelings by telling them to stop. That's a nice girl. I don't want to be that kind of that. I'm not nice. I want to be kind. I want to be kind to me. I want to say, stop hitting me right now, which is actually what I had to tell somebody once. It wasn't a man. It was somebody I was becoming friends with. And because of who she is, where she's come from, wherever that is, anytime she got really thrilled about something, she would hit me really hard in the arm. And I told her, I said, stop hitting me. She's like, oh, okay. And then she'd do it again. You have to stand up for yourself. I have to stand up for myself. So independence for me right now is the independence to put the best of me out into the world. That is what I am fighting for, but not just for me. I am fighting for that for you too. That is why I am doing the work that I do. That is why I am wanting to continue to do the work I do. Because what I can offer and what I do offer is a way to look at things differently so that you are released from this good girl, good boy sort of mentality that says, I have to follow the rules and I must not question the rules. Well, independence comes from questioning the rules. We have to. Now, what are rules? Rules are the things that you tell yourself, I have to believe this, or the things that you just take for granted. The things that you say, well, that's just the way it is. Really? Was it that way 100 years ago? And if it was it supposed to be? Could it have maybe changed? Should it have maybe changed 100 years ago? It is so important to question so that we can have our independence and move forward in being forces for good in our world. Following the rules is spectacularly done. If you look at the landscape right now, all it took was one disease to set the entire house on fire. So the reason that we're all completely freaked out, or most of us are completely freaked out, is, wow, like the landscape has changed. What do I do? Who do I be? What kind of work do I do? So if you've got somebody who's been a server in a restaurant for 30 years and suddenly they're out of work and they're like, well, what the hell do I do now? It's a real thing. That's something that's a big deal, right? So we have to start thinking about, who else am I? Here's where some more questions come. What else do I do? What else are my skills that I can use? And then the next question is, where can I use them now? Not after a year of training, but where can I use them now? Right? We have to get very, very creative. We have to welcome in the unknown. We have to start working with one another, bringing our questions to one another together so that we can really embrace the power of that group mind and find the new answers. So I decided to put together a webinar, a free webinar about that, okay? Because I walked into that exact situation, well, without COVID, I walked into that exact situation back in 2008. And I decided I had to make something work, and I had to make it work now. I became a virtual assistant who is a digital marketer. I taught myself digital marketing as I went. I took my secretarial skills, my 130 words a minute typing skills, my ability to proofread like a mofo, my ability to strategize and organize and see everything in 360 degrees instead of just the one thing. And I started to make inroads into changing the way that I did my work. And I did it for 8 years. Now, did I become this like massive wealthy entrepreneur? No, but you know what? Stop judging everything by the money. I have to tell myself this all the time, and I'm telling you, stop thinking about it only in terms of those big stories we get to hear on a lot of webinars, right? I used to be very poor, and now look behind me, there's this yacht and my spouse and my 17 children, and we are all in beautiful clothing. You know the stories. If you've watched any webinars, you will know how that goes. And it's like, it gets us salivating. We're like, oh my God, I want to be rich too. Yeah, but I started, okay, who will reinvent themselves? This is a great, great, great question. I don't think it's a matter of who will. I think it's a matter of us knowing that it's even possible. Because if we don't even know it's possible, if all we've ever known is this landscape, and we don't know there's another way to be because we've never either looked for it because we're not entrepreneurial types and we're never gonna be, or because just the way we're set up emotionally, mentally, we just don't see it. So that's why I want to do a webinar to show people how you can think a little differently. You can about what your possibilities are, and also you can find out what it is that you do that is fantastic, that you can then put out resumes if you want to work for other people, which is cool. Go work for other people, but put out twice the number or 3 times the number of resumes, because you may have a skill that you don't even recognize as a skill. I know this because I spoke with a friend I used to work with, and I said to her, my God, you are the organizational queen. You keep your calm. You can pick up anything that I put down that I can teach you. Thank you for agreeing. Yes, that I can teach you. And she was like, but those don't seem like skills. And I'm like, the reason they don't seem like skills to you is because they come naturally to you. Think how many people don't know that. Think how many people are going, I'm only a server. I'm only a secretary. I'm only a welder. I'm only. No, you're not. Hey, Iris. Yeah, you're not just one thing. You were never just one thing. Never. But if you look at it from another perspective, look at it from the sort of successful, the traditional mode of successful. Let's say you're a doctor. And you've been a successful doctor for 40 years and you've got bunches of money and you are just like set. You're set for life. You don't have to worry about money anymore. God, that sounds good, right? Don't have to worry about money anymore. And this is actually a true story, although I can't give you the reference because I don't know the guy's name, so I apologize. But If you go looking, you'll find lots of stories like this. So this guy's a doctor. He's been a doctor forever, and he gets cancer, and it just keeps getting worse and worse. And finally, the doctor says to him, you know, you've got like a year to live. So whatever it is you want to do with your life, you got to do it now. So the guy goes, oh, okay, great. So he really never wanted to be a doctor. By the way, his father wanted him to be a doctor. He wanted to be a musician. So he picks up his violin that he always played on the side. And he starts letting his soul and heart and being flow through this instrument. And you know the end of this story, right? You can fill it in for yourself. He got better. He got better because he was living his passion. So if people knew that that was actually possible to do, and not by waiting till you have cancer, but if people knew that was a possibility, wouldn't they want to reinvent themselves? It is. It's. There are so many stories. Here's another one about another doctor, Norman Cousins, if I'm not mistaken. So this guy also, he's on his deathbed in a freaking hospital. He's got days. The doctor's like, you got a few days and you're going to have to like jump on the boat out of here, you know? And I don't know what inspired him, but he went and had somebody bring him a whole bunch of Marx Brothers films. And he sat there for hours. He laid there in his bed for hours and hours watching those movies and laughing his ass off. Same ending of the story. Got better, got up, walked out of the hospital. There is a magic and a power and a majesty and a refreshment and a reinvention when we dare to see ourselves as more than just one thing that we can do for money. And when we honor it in some way. Now, it doesn't mean you have to drop your career and do this other thing. You can keep your money-making job and you can do this other thing. The point is, are you fulfilled? Are you letting yourself, with a capital S, be independent? Are you letting yourself be who you really want to be, right? And it's very frustrating to me when I end up in offices. It's not where I belong. So since that frustrates the hell out of me, I am looking for ways to continue to do this work. Also, if I do go into an office, even if it's part-time, I'm going to get the most I can out of that thing. I'm going to learn everything I possibly can, from systems to interpersonal stuff to different kinds of personality types. I'm going to make the biggest use I can of absolutely everything, because I think it's the biggest annoyance to me to waste my time. That's like the biggest to me. I always want to be learning. I always want to be growing. You know, Iris, I get it. She goes, getting there. I know. And we're all getting to somewhere. I keep thinking of the movie, what's it called? Phenomenon, with John Travolta, where he sees this bright light and suddenly he becomes like this genius, like literally just this genius. He can see everything. He's amazing. And at one point in the movie, he says to one of the children of the woman that he's in love with, he says, everybody and everything is on its way to somewhere else. I can't tell you how profound that is, because if everybody is on their way to somewhere else, that can mean that wherever I am, I'm not less than. I am more than I was yesterday. I am on my way. And so I become the heroine of my story if I will just dare to give myself the respect of saying, I am a courageous being. Yes, I am always learning. I love learning. If I look at my life as I'm on my way. Is that challenging? Yeah. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is, because we've got goals and we tend to think if I'm not already there, I'm a failure. And that's just not so. So independence for me is, at this point, is independence from the things from the thoughts, from the emotional settings that would make me miserable. And so that means it does end up being an inside job. If I start getting really upset about something, then I'm starting to have, and part of it is because of the the summit that we're just beginning to come to the end of, it means I've got tools and ways and things that appeal to me, that work for me, that stir me, that give me a way of literally walking through those things. Does it work every single time? When it doesn't, I try a different tool. Sometimes the best tool I have is talking to somebody, talking to a friend. Sometimes that's the best tool I have, because sometimes the timing is just not what we want it to be. We want it to be, okay, I do it now. And instead, our life path or life pattern or energy or whatever says, no, not really, not yet. So independence for me, this Independence Day, I intend to put my focus not on where I want to be, but on how I want to be now, in service to that next step. That is a challenge, trust me. What I know about it is that it brings a sense of peace to me. It keeps me from beating the heck out of myself. Why aren't you there yet? You're just awful. I can't take it. That's easy for me. I could teach a master class in that. But I don't want to teach master classes in that, and I don't want to feel that anymore. I mean, I don't want to let myself keep hurting me. So it is time to commit to having mercy on yourself. It's time for me to commit to having mercy on myself relentlessly. It's funny. I say the word relentlessly, and relentless always seems to me like, but I'm looking to be relentlessly kind. That's different, right? That's different. And I'm not talking about being relentlessly nice, because if I'm relentlessly nice, as I used to be in my 20s, then I am putting you before me every single time, even when I need to come first. Example, I'm completely exhausted. I have been in a relationship with some friend who draws on all my energy all the time. And I love this person, but I do have to limit my exposure to her because she pulls on me all the time. And one day, I don't have the rubber on my tires. I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the oxygen in my tanks. And she's going on and on and on and on. And I'm just like wilting. And if I stick with nice, I'm going to stay there until my spirit has left the building. But if I stick with kind, I'm going to say, Lori, you need rest. You need to go refresh and regenerate. And also, I'm not going to be lying to her by sitting here going, oh, I just want to hear you talk forever. And she will learn something about who I am, really. And I will learn something about how I am in my strength. So I say, I need to interrupt you. I hear that you need to talk, but I'm wilting and I'm not really hearing you. So I'm going to go home. I'm going to go get some rest. And we can talk tomorrow, okay? Or we can talk next week. That's independence. So on this July 4th, I put my stake in that ground and say this is independence. And I encourage you to think about your independence as well. And be kind. Oh, the energies that are going through this world right now, I find to be very intense. And I've not traditionally been somebody who feels that kind of thing. But it must be pretty darn intense because I'm feeling it. Oops, there goes my paper. Are any of you having a feeling that something is calling to you? Are any of you feeling that there is something really big that is pulling you forward? You don't know what it is, or maybe you do, but you're feeling like something else is the goal, something else, something bigger, something I don't even know yet, because I feel it. And I'm having mixed reactions to it. On the one hand, I'm thrilled. It's what has gotten me my own TV show that's not really on TV. It's on Awake TV network, but still, hello, amazing, fantastic. And on the other hand, it's scary to walk into these new things. It's scary to walk into a bigger you, but you know what? It doesn't kill you. It will not kill you. Feel like a new chapter's opening up. That is gorgeous. That's gorgeous. If you feel like explaining just a little more about that, I'd love to hear it. That'd be cool. Yeah, I think a lot of new chapters are opening up in everybody's life. It is scary and it is exciting. And you know what? In all of the acting that I've done, one of the things that I was taught was that your body really can't tell the difference between scary and exciting. So the usefulness of that understanding is that if you're in a situation in which you feel scared, tell yourself it's not fear, it could be excitement. And you kind of go, oh, it could be excitement. Well, okay, I think I'll just tell myself I'm excited. Mind games, mind settings, attitudes, they're really invaluable for moving forward. Really invaluable. And the other thing that's invaluable is community. So for me, what I decided yesterday was that I would bring some people together, other people who are entrepreneurs. I'm just doing 4 of us for now, to have us check in every day on Facebook in a little Facebook private message and support each other in our journeys. Now, what does that mean? That means that not only are we going to check in and know there's somebody there who cares what's going on, it means some practical business things like if you've got the group mind, if you've got 4 people, guess what you have then? You don't have just 4 people. You have all the people those people know. You say to one of them, hey, I'm looking for an angel investor. Or, hey, I'm looking for someone who would be a really good virtual assistant for me. Or, hey, I'm looking for a business coach. Have you guys worked with anybody or do you know anyone? Hey, I'm looking for speaking engagements. Hey, hey, hey. We have got to stop this lunacy of thinking we're alone in every new step we take. We've got to stop it. And if we are alone, we have to start to create these little groups of people because honestly, hey, Angie, this is the time to tap into your courage gene. Yes, yes, thank you. Yes. Oh my God, this is the time for us. And Angie, I have an invitation for you. I'll call you later. I happen to know Angie in real life. So, but yes, this is the time to step into the new because the old has spectacularly failed. And since people don't know how to do that, that's what concerns me. That's why I want to, and I'm going to give a webinar about this. And because I'm stepping into my next big expression with the TV show, I'm also stepping into my next big self-expression with a course, a paid course that I'm putting together. And I'm also putting together a 3-month private coaching program and my public speaking. I'm like, let's go. Let's go. We don't have time to sit around and hope it goes back because it's not going back. It's not going back to what it was before. Whatever that was, it's not going back. So we have got to go forward. And yes, it feels like walking against the current. It does, but let me tell you, there's a man named Gregg Braden, and he is a physicist. Thank you, my darling. There's a physicist named Gregg Braden, and it's Greggbraden. He's been doing his work for decades, and you will find him all over YouTube, so have at it. He talked in one of his YouTube videos about how we don't really need all that many people, percentage-wise, to change this planet. This was the most exciting news I'd ever had. It's something like 8%. Yes, Iris, you're on a crossroad, got so many choices. Right. So here's the thing that I would say to that, and you can take anything that anybody says with a grain of salt and see if it makes sense for you, because the more we make other people the judges and the arbiters of our lives, the more we're going to keep taking wrong directions. The only right direction is the one that gives you that feeling of like, ooh, oh, that's interesting. Huh, that's the right choice. It's not, and it may turn out that after a year, you find that one fizzles and you're like, maybe it went into a different shape, or maybe it went to a different type of choice. And so you keep moving, but always you're moving forward and always you're growing. Okay. I can't tell you how many years I was stuck by what is the right choice. I can't. And I was in therapy in my 20s. My 20s. And I was sitting in the therapist's office going, but I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. And I was waiting for that great reveal from heaven. Here's what you are meant to do, my child, go forth, all that kind of stuff. Because I didn't know. And it took me years more to really get that it's more about what makes me go, oh, that's really interesting. I like that. She said, go out and do something, anything, just do anything. And I went out and I took a class in ceramics. And I did at one point even buy a kiln. That was expensive. Okay, so Iris has a good point. Don't have the means to do what your heart desires. And I'm going to frame that in a different way for you. Yeah, I understand. Trust me. Once I figured out in my early 30s that I wanted to be a professional actor, that is all I wanted to do. And yet I had to work for a living. And working for a living, I could not see how I could also be an actor, because there were auditions taking place during the day. And my head would explode regularly. I'd be so frustrated because I knew what I wanted to do. And I still want to be an actress. I mean, I am a professional actress, but I want to be working. It's one of the things I want to do with my life before I leave this planet. Not that I'm about to die, I'm not. So once we start making that move, I'm sorry, every time I get on here, my nose starts to itch. It's really weird. Is that the thing about money, or is it the hand? I think it's hand. If your hands itch, you're about to come into money. I don't know what the nose is. You smell bad? I don't really know. Once we start moving into discovering what it is we want to do, we want to just do that. Let me give you a really good story. I know somebody who has wanted to start an online radio business for something like 10 years, has put a bunch of money into it, a whole lot of money he doesn't have into it. But he's the kind who wants to be sure. He wants to be prepared. He wants it to be all good and ready to make money the minute he opens. So he has a vision of what this is going to be. The problem for him is that he doesn't know how to take that one small step at a time. Another thing I understand personally. So he doesn't want to step forward into this little bit at a time. Instead, he wants to throw money at it, make it. He wants to come on air, and then people are going to go, I want to buy your products. And I'm like, God, you haven't even lined up people to interview, and you haven't. Yeah. So I had a realization the other day, and I was like, oh, and I called him. And I said, look, you've been thumping around with this thing for 10 years and putting money in and not getting anything out of it at all. I said, what if you started a podcast? You just started a podcast. Don't worry about the money. Don't stop putting money into this website that you have that absolutely nobody has looked at. Stop it. Just start a free podcast. And there are free podcast platforms, and you can just start putting out interviews, and you won't have to pay for like the music that you want to play along with it, the jazz music you want to play, but you'll just be interviewing jazz musicians, and you'll start to get noticed. You can start to connect with other people who have podcasts. You can start to grow your community. I mean, that's what you call a small step. So Iris, is there some aspect of what you want to do that you can do it, or you are already doing it, and that you can acknowledge that you're already doing it, and you can also slow down enough to say, how have I grown? You can grow to a team leader. What's YL? Oh, is it Yogananda? I feel I can serve others. So doing, oh God, I know. Oh, I know. I've got, we have to pull in information from everywhere we can to see how we can hold it best for us. Young living. Okay. I'm afraid I don't know what that is, but apparently it's spiritual. I'm all about spiritual, so that's cool. So with the frustration of I want to do this all the time, we still have to slow our roll. We still have to say, what is the next step? Essential oils. Oh, love it, love it, love it, love it. Okay. So here's some of the things that I would say around that. I would try to find people to partner with. I would try to find healers to partner with who don't do essential oils. And I would say, hey, I need to take a step forward. I need to have a bigger impact. And I'm investigating ways to do this. And I see that you do a kind of healing that I really like. And I know that essential oils and other health products that I offer could really help boost your offerings. And I would get, you could be an associate for me, or we could work out some other business way that we could promote one another and make each other's businesses bigger. So that Iris, you could, with the clients you already have or the people you're already helping, you could say, yeah, I can get you those essential oils for anxiety. And you know what? I also am, I have an associate who works with me, whose name is yada, yada, yada. And she does this kind of healing, and it actually does help with what you're going through. Forming partnerships, and not necessarily legal partnerships. You know what I'm saying? You will need a legal document to protect yourself, okay? You need to be able to say, here's what I get, and here's what I don't get, here's what you get, here's what you don't get. You need to protect yourself. But we've got to start coming together in little communities of 2, 3, 4, 20, 5,000, whatever. We've got to start coming together. We've got to think outside of that box of I have to be the only one to do, I have to find my own way out, and there's no other ways than the ways I see. Okay, you don't know anyone. Well, you know me, and you know some people in this community. And so this community, and here's something I learned that's really helpful. When I go onto Facebook and I have a need, I will write about it. I'll say, hey, here's what's happening for me. And so I'm looking for this kind of information. And, does anybody know anything about this? Or does anybody know people who are healers? If, pretending I'm you for a moment, anybody know healers who are really into who are really into what I'm into? So relying on, we have to start creating relationships. The reason that sales sucks so bad for so many people is that we see it as sales. We don't see it as sharing. I had a breakthrough with that about 3-4 years ago. I found out I'm good at sales. And I found out how I'm good at sales, because I'm all about sharing. I'm all about connecting with you. Now, I have to absolutely love what it is I'm selling, or I can't do this. Otherwise I'm just like that. Hey, you should buy this used car that's full of cracks. Can't do it. But when I worked for Macy's, when I first started working for them, and I was on the phones, and I was talking to all different kinds of people, and that's the easiest kind of sales, is this kind, because they're calling in. They're calling in and they're going, I need to buy something, right? But you want to do what's called upselling. You want to be able to say to them, hey, You got that beautiful dress. Do you have the shoes to go with it? If they're like, yeah, you go, oh, that's great. I'm so glad. Because we do have these really cool silver ones that would perfectly match that silver dress. You want to take a look at them for a second? They're really awesome and they're on sale. That kind of sales is where you go, I know there is value in what I am providing, and I am also inside me, I'm okay if you don't buy. Because my primary intention is to serve you. Yoked to that is my drive to make money, but because it's not making money at your expense, right? It's not making money and serving you, it's yoked, making money and serving you. It changes the way you do sales. It just changes things. Yeah. We also don't need papers to back up our strengths. We need to speak of our experience. The people who are drawn to us are the people who recognize what they need. That can only come from us. We could not live enough in this one lifetime to have all the papers, all of the school thing, whatever, all the things we think we need. No. We need to stand in the knowing of who we are. We need to be honest enough to know if we don't know enough, so that we know if we do need training. We can't just pretend. But if we really know, if we're like, I'm really good at this. Like I knew a long time ago, I'm really good at helping people get out of their own way, getting out of their own doubts and their fears. I'm really good at helping clear the path in people's consciousness and in their fears. I'm really good at that. Now, do I have a degree in that? No. Who gives a degree in that? Nobody gives a degree in that. Actually, I give a degree in that to myself. So when I talk to people and I say, here's what I can offer you, I now not only know that I have that authority, but I know exactly what I'm worth. If that's not the best goal on earth, I don't know. As far as our work goes, anyway. So the thing is that the further ahead we look, the more we get messed up. If we look to the very next step, what is the next thing I could try? What is the next thing I could do to try to move forward? Then we're cooking with gas. Then we're moving forward. Then we're in independence. And this is absolutely a challenge, but it is the best and the only one you can take that moves you forward. I know this to be true. I tried to slave drive myself forward for decades and it did not work. And at one point I said to myself, hey, is it enough now? You've tried this for like 35 years. You've tried really hard for 35 years. Is it enough? Do you need to try it for another year? And my answer finally was no. Like, I don't know what else to try in this moment of realizing that it's enough, but I know that that is not working. And when you are there, stepping into that courage to look at the I don't know and give it more than a heartbeat before you give up on maybe the unexpected will show up here or through somebody else or watching TV or taking a walk. When you open to that and you don't expect it to be that download from God like I expected, then you can move forward. Then you are on your path, and it's your path. It's nobody else's. It's yours. And the people you hire along the way, the people you listen to along the way, the people you play with along the way, they either stick with you for the whole journey or they don't, but you're still moving forward. Yeah, it's always just the very next step. So there are no perfect answers. I wish there were. I really like the Pixar movies and the Disney movies and stuff that are like, and they lived happily ever after. It just happens not to be true. There's a wonderful phrase I heard years ago. It says something a lot. I'm going to paraphrase because I can't remember. I mean, I can't remember what it actually is, but it says we all want to have an exciting life, but that means giving up boredom, and that's not always an easy sacrifice. And while that may sound strange at first, think about it. I have found that to be very true. Because until I get into the rhythm, like when I got into the rhythm of the summit, then I was like, boredom, forget it, man. I was like, this is cool. I love it. I'm talking to all these people and I'm meeting all these cool people. And now that it's sort of wrapping up, I have to find a different engine. So that's going to be the TV show, and that's going to be whatever I do next, and it's going to be the workshop, and it's going to be the webinar I do first that leads into the workshops, and I have to find I have to create it, but I don't have to create it alone. I want to create things that come from me, but I don't want to be alone in that discovery. I want to have people around me to share it with. I don't have a partner in my life right now. I don't, and I'm obviously a people person, so I'm looking for, and I have found, I'm putting together this small group of people. It's like being in a submarine and you like ping off of the nearest piece of land to see how far you are. We need each other. We need each other. So as soon as we let ourselves off the hook, and we move forward, and you would love to help, that's very sweet. Thank you. And we just take one small step. Woo! And we start to see the results of that. Then we can start to believe in it and see it's actually the difference. It's actually the difference. You ever been in the airport and they've got those moving sidewalk things, and you can either take one step on that and be 5 steps further, and then another steps, and now you're 10, and that, right? Or you can be on the outside. You choose not to walk on it, and then you're going to take so many more steps. So taking just that one step. And having people you can talk to and cling to and discuss with, and also, so that you don't feel so alone, and also having the tools that allow you to listen to you, to discover what do I have to burst through within myself. It is an internal and external game. And that's independence. When we can stand in our realness, when we can stand in our humanness. Yes. And then we are not try, fail. We don't want to do that. We want to do try. Okay, what's next? Take a breath. What's next? Oh, try. Right. We want it. We want that. We want that. Try. And the trying is not, it's let me walk in this direction. Let me do this thing and see how this works. I know how big it is. I know how big it is. And I know how rewarding it is. So I'm committed until they commit me. Yeah, what time is it? It's 3:44 here in Ohio on this Saturday, July 4th. I wish you all good things. I wish you the very next step. I wish you courage. I wish you love. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you.